I took the Casey Neistat video course because I wanted to learn how to become a better videographer and as well as tell stories online. And the short answer is, if you're thinking about taking this course, by all means do. Next time enrollment opens up, join the course. It's fantastic. So yeah, that's kind of it for the short answer. If you want to learn more, stick around for the rest of the video. I'm going to talk about the best bits of this course, where I think he messes up tremendously, and how you can take his filming style and evolve it into a more effective way of creating your own videos. Now, this course takes place online on a website called Monthly. I think it's now called Studio. It was an incredible experience because you're put in groups of like 20 or 30 people, where the real benefit is collaboration, feedback on each other's videos. At no point does Casey step in and give advice. You follow his tutorial videos, which feel like very extended learning YouTube videos with a lot more substance. And it really starts off with him talking about his motivation, why he started to create videos as a kid. And him creating videos was his main way to share his expression, share his thoughts. And so that, as a childhood driver for him, motivated him to become the amazing photographer and videographer that he is today. So what's great is that in this course, he starts you off saying that you don't need any fancy gear or microphones or cameras to start being creative. The very first video, the very first course is teaching you how to film on your phone. He does everything on his phone. The start of the course is him walking through with you how he comes up with an idea. And the important factor here is that the idea isn't the most important part. The idea is just something that gets you motivated in order for you to, feel excited about this idea and go out there and start filming. I always wondered, where does he come up with his ideas? How does he come out with a daily vlog back in the day? And for him, he's always looking for interestingness around him. So he's always walking around New York City, which is his muse. He goes through about 2 or 3 of these potential ideas before he lands on one, which is his tutorial on how to teach tourists how to buy a counterfeit bag in New York City, which is kind of like a cutesy idea, and it's got a bit of a rebel aspect to it, but that's what kicks him off. That's what starts him in this idea process. I think as an audience member, you always assume that he knocks it out of the park on the first take, that he delivers his lines perfectly, and that there's no issue. But in reality, and what I loved so much was watching him mess up, watching his flaws, because he's a master editor and he shows you in his YouTube videos how perfect the edit is. It was so insightful and so humanizing to see him mess up, to see him do multiple takes of a talking head style, and it just made it so much more approachable. That aspect alone, to me, it was worth the money for this course, because it felt like, oh, I can do this too. My takeaway from this was the fact that usually when I'm on holiday or if I'm traveling and I have a camera with me, sometimes I feel like I'm not in the present moment, sometimes I feel distracted. He explains key to his videos is constantly being in the present moment, looking for interestingness around you to film as talking head in an amazing location or B-roll to support your story. But the key is to be present in each moment. And that was kind of a turning point for me, was realizing that there's a moment where you can be present as opposed to being distracted by the tech around you. He utilizes his camera as a way to constantly be in the present moment. By having the camera in his hand at all times, it focuses his attention on the present moment and looking at his surroundings around him all the time. So I think that's an important lesson to remember when you're filming, is not to get caught up too much on, well, what's the next shot I need to get? How do I structure the future acts, etc., etc. Just be in the present moment and film what's around you. And I guess by being in the present moment, by focusing on what's around you, it increases the chances of spontaneity. And you see that a lot in his filming. He's filming a talking head and he'll see someone just off camera laugh at what he's doing, because filming yourself in public is A, very tough thing to do, and B, it causes people to like look at you, and you kind of garner attention. And so he leans into that. He leans into, just how silly it is, or how funny it is, or how unique what he's doing is. Because he's present so much, and because he's constantly filming, as he says, this is where the creativity is. The spontaneity, being present. This is where you can capture moments that you hadn't planned, that are not in the script, that there's no bullet points for. His interaction with some of the public members around him is amazing, because the script almost writes itself. These interactions he has with people are incredibly authentic. They happen out of nowhere. In this first video, the first act is sort of him setting up what he's going to do, go buy a counterfeit bag. Second act is him going to actually buy the bag and film in his pocket. And after he's done the deed of buying the bag, there's this incredibly empathetic moment you have as an audience member with him, where he's sitting on the steps and he's frustrated because he doesn't know how to finish the story. He is banging his head up against the wall, and you watch this amazing creator lose his creativity. He doesn't know what to do next. And you watch him go through the process of struggle on camera. And he says, like, look, when I was doing my daily vlog, this would happen to me every single day. This would be a frustrating point where I would just want to throw in the towel, throw down the camera, and say, you know what, I'm just going to go get a cup of coffee. I'm going to rethink. But the creative struggle is to stick with it in these moments, is to stick with the camera, is to keep filming, and by almost forcing your way through it, you'll find an answer. And he does eventually. He finds an answer in that he meets one of his friends on the street. He says, okay, I know, I'm going to give my bag to this friend. I'm going to do some talking head. I'm going to do some B-roll shots of the bag, of the detail, of everything. And then my closing act is giving this bag to my friend and closing out the story. That's kind of like a 50,000 foot elevation view on the first story. Now, he always sets up a 3-act story, whether it was his vlogs or his videos. First act is the setup. Second act is a conflict that ensues. And then the third act is a resolution. That's always the 3 main points of his story. So once you've seen how he films his video, the prompt is, hey, now you got to go out and film yours, and do it on your iPhone. Don't let the gear you have or don't have impede your ability to be creative. The next aspect of this process is him taking you through his editing. And I was incredibly interested to see this because he is an amazing editor. He knows how to edit a story or take the raw footage and whittle it down to an amazing, fast-paced, beat by beat by beat story. He talks about creating a video, editing said video, as he says, when people come up to him and say, oh yeah, I got this amazing idea for a video, it's filmed already. He'll say, is it edited yet? He'll be like, no, it's not edited yet. It's like, all right, then you have nothing. Filming your video is the equivalent of going out and buying the vegetables and the ingredients and the meat and everything. But the editing process is converting that raw footage into an actual meal. Everything is in the edit. So with his editing style, it syncs up nicely with his filming style, and he films chronologically. He doesn't jump around. He doesn't film the ending first, do the middle, and then perhaps an intro based on location. Films the intro in the morning, kind of films the second act at lunch, and then kind of closes out mid-afternoon with the conclusion. Once he imports all the footage into iMovie, it's all set up chronologically. He spends an incredible amount of time analyzes each shot in incredible detail. And he's fast. He moves quickly through scrubbing through his footage. His level of ruthlessness on what makes the cutting room floor and what doesn't is incredible. He really emphasizes and analyzes how much a certain shot frame or section spends in the video in terms of seconds. So he'll say, I filmed this amazing time lapse over 20 minutes. That's going to be maybe 1 to 1.5 seconds in this video. Constantly chopping things down to the bare elements of how he wants to tell his story. And he's been the master of making it look like he's got 10 cameras around him at all times, when in reality he's got one camera that he sets up multiple times and redoes takes. You see him editing through Final Cut, and he takes you through the process of his thinking, why he chose certain shots, why he chose certain talking head or this bit, or why he wants to create a hook or an interestingness at the beginning of the video. And mainly it's because he wants to get the attention of the audience very quickly. I'll kind of step back a little bit here because this course teaches you how to really embody Casey's style, but it shouldn't be viewed that way. Take this course and learn his style, but of course evolve your style and add into it. Casey has a style of editing that I think has a massive flaw to it. It is by no means the most productive way to edit a video together. When you watch his video, you realize that the way he constructs a video is adding 5 seconds of edits, going back and watching it, and chopping it down and re-editing it. And if you guys have spent any time in editing software, you realize that going back and re-watching your footage over and over and over again is an incredibly inefficient way to edit your footage. Now, it could be that he's slowing down the process for us to show us what he's thinking in real time as he's editing through the timeline. But if you make this mistake of rewatching your footage over and over and over again every time you add 10 seconds or 20 seconds of footage, it'll take you forever to finish a video. So I think perhaps a better way to, again, learn from Casey's style but evolve it into a better form is to not spend as much time reviewing your footage as you're moving through the timeline. Ideally, you want to do a first pass and get a rough cut of your footage together, like first act, second, third, and then go back and chop or filter down so that the video is as tight as possible. We're not looking for length here. You know, the video doesn't need to be 8 minutes or 10 minutes for the YouTube algorithm. It's got to be short and punchy and engaging the entire time. So you want to get the rough bones of a story there and then kind of filter it down. So the second video has much more of an emphasis on the gear, the better microphones, and more of a cinematic feel, while the first video really teaches you to just get out there and film. The second video is a bit more thought through. So he uses his amazing Sony camera with an incredible lens and better audio, but he walks you through, again, incorporating spontaneity, but so this is going to be a lot more difficult to film this video than I thought because it is loud as fuck over there. I feel a bit like Casey right now. I got my notes here. It's going to be tough to edit. Okay, so where was I? He was talking about Zen. So his second video, it starts off with him doing a talking head at his desk in his amazing studio, and as he's talking, he notices one of the screens behind him shows like the blue screen of death. He's like, that's annoying. Okay, I gotta fix this, we gotta reshoot this. And then you see him have this idea of like, actually, I could probably turn this into a sequence. So he grabs his camera, places it at an awkward angle, films him walking into the shot of looking at the issue, then he moves the camera again and does the same thing, same motion from a different angle, and then he does a tight panned-in shot and he zooms into the issue, which is GoPro. And now he's wondering, okay, is the GoPro dead? Is the lead busted? And he's taking shots of this the entire time. Close-up shots, wide shots. He does a shot from the outside of the door, the entrance to his studio, and he films himself like looking through the peephole. And so he's got all of these amazing different cinematography shots based on like one tiny little issue that happened. And then he films himself plugging the lead into the camera, putting it back in, and then switching it on, and voila, the screen's working again. And he films his reaction live, so it feels organic and authentic. When he takes this footage and he edits it, it is fast cut. Like he has all those multiple different angles that he spends maybe half a second to a second showing on screen. So it looks like he's got a million cameras around him. In his daily vlog, he would do this all the time. He would spend 45 minutes on a sequence that would last 10 or 15 seconds in his vlog. This course for me was amazing because it taught me how to get out of my own head. It taught me that if you just have a rough idea, flesh it out and start filming, start getting creative, because that's where the bones of a video start coming together. I think I'm gonna have to change location now. Okay, great. I think this spot will work. So yeah, the key takeaway for me in the second video was to see just how much effort he puts into these videos. You see the full process of from idea, concept, all the way to his filming of it, and then his editing process really whittles that down into a punchy, snappy, entertaining form of content. Overall, it probably goes without saying, I love this course. I found it absolutely fascinating to watch one of the best in the industry show you how he is so creative. And if you're interested in taking his style, more importantly, and evolving it and making it your own, by all means, like, sign up for it. It's amazing. Cross collaboration with people around you is incredibly important. I do wish he kind of stepped in and said, you know, he watched a few of the videos and would give feedback. I mean, for the price, I think it was around 180 pounds, about 240 US dollars. I wish that the creator had a bit more engagement with the audience. He would, you know, maybe set up a couple Zoom calls, you know, for everybody. That would have been nice. My end takeaway was, by not being an architect at the beginning, right? By not trying to analyze or forecast what the whole story is going to be, instead being more of like an archaeologist, or finding the story as you dig or as you move through the process, is an important thing to remember as you're creating these videos. And remember that his editing process is incredibly in-depth and probably the best part of this course. But don't review your footage too much. I did see a separate video that was on YouTube, another amazing creator. His name is Chris Howe, and he talks about this process of like, don't review your footage too much. And he has a better in-depth analysis on how he edits his videos and how he quickly moves through a timeline. If you like this video, you know, check out one of my most recent videos here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.